Do you find yourself saying, I'm sorry when you think you're going to disappoint someone? Is there a part of you that feels guilty about putting other people's needs ahead of your own because somewhere along the line you learned that it was bad to tell someone else no? In my work, I've seen women apologize for things that aren't their fault, that are out of their control, and for fear of upsetting someone or looking bad. Many of these women have been doing this for so long that they don't even realize until something starts screaming in their body. After all that heaviness and all that guilt and the self defeating behaviors, they start getting upset stomachs, muscle tension, trouble sleeping. They're very emotional and they cry at the drop of a hat. They deplete their energy because they're constantly worrying about what others think of them and how they can help other people before themselves. If you've been carrying around a part of you that feels guilty and automatically has to say, I'm sorry for just being yourself, I'm here to help you break that pattern. Hi, I'm Denise Morrison, transformational health and life coach, also known as the empowerment expert. Women hire me to help them release their past cultural crap so they can learn to love, trust, and feel so good about themselves that they can confidently make decisions to create their most fulfilling life. Now, I've worked in healthcare for over 30 years, and women, including me, tend to downplay their needs and wants because they learn that asking for what they want is bad or selfish. Of course, if you're in a helping profession like mine, or in education, or some other place where you have to give of yourself, it's an unspoken rule that you shut off your needs and put everyone else's first. However, at some point, this can become a destructive pattern if you're always overgiving, people pleasing, putting your needs last, and neglecting your self care. Many of my clients have worked with this apologizing tendency for too long in their lives, and it's starting to stifle their health and well being. So, my role is to help them find balance, a healthy balance of giving and receiving, and of proudly being themselves without having to say, I'm sorry for what they want and need. But first, let me talk about guilt. It's not all bad. It's only bad when it starts to build up under your awareness and cause all of that self judgment, self hatred, self sabotage, self neglect, all of the things that many of the women I've worked with have come to me for help around. But guilt will arise when your behavior contradicts with your conscience. So it's like your little checking mechanism to help you nudge yourself back into line and correct your behavior so that you're not upsetting or hurting anybody else. I think it's a good thing and a healthy thing, but when it gets out of hand and you've been putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own for a long time, you might not realize that you're feeling guilty all the time and it's impacting your health. And I look at it like a virus. If you've had this part of you, this virus of, I'm always feeling guilty, I'm not worth it, I have to put other people first. This virus sticks around and it depletes your mental, physical, and emotional immunity. And I do not want that for you. And as I've heard from my colleagues, all too often they're getting burned out. They're developing anxiety and depression. They feel just like they're overwhelmed and they're just spinning in life where they don't know how to stop. They get colds more often. They're having gut troubles, trouble sleeping and focusing, and they're just losing touch with who they are and their happiness and joy. So when they come to me, I can help them turn it off and help them break that self-sabotaging pattern, let go of that guilt, and stop saying, I'm sorry, and only use it when it's needed. Sadly, many of my clients have been holding on to these patterns since childhood, and now as adults, they're noticing that it's not serving them. Me personally, I know that I carried around the I'm sorry and the guilt pattern for way too long. I grew up thinking that I was to blame and that it was all my fault. And I had to be the peacemaker, the fixer, so that everybody else's needs were met before mine. That definitely left a heaviness on me. It affected my mental, physical, and emotional well being. And it came to a point where I just needed to have someone help me get out of my own way. A lot of times, my women come to me because they don't know what it is that's troubling them. And I am the one to ask the right questions and support them in a loving, nurturing way to figure out what it was during their childhood that started this habit, this pattern. Maybe it was something a caregiver said, something in a religious area or society or sports, something that triggered them to decide, I have to apologize for who I am. So if this sounds like you, I'm sending you lots of love and hugs, but I also want to offer you a few questions that you can answer for yourself, whether it's on a note in your phone or you're a pencil and paper gal like me and grab your journal. Number one, for the next 2 weeks, jot down every time you say, I'm sorry. In the beginning, you might not even realize it, but now that I've made you more aware, start to pay attention and jot down the situation, where you were, what day, time, whatever it needs to be, and write down that you said, I'm sorry, even if you have to keep little tally marks. But number two, I want you to figure out what triggered you to say, I'm sorry. I had this client that would say, I'm sorry if she missed your phone call. Sorry if she missed your text. Sorry if she wasn't there on time. Sorry that she was busy doing her job. Sorry that she had to ask her husband for help. Oh, she just was so stuck behind her I'm sorries that she weighed so heavy in her body, in her heart, and her being. And I helped her break that cycle. And now she doesn't even say I'm sorry unless it's warranted. Number three, as you're picking up how often and when and where you're saying I'm sorry, notice what's going on in your head. Like, what are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, oh, I should have done this, or I have to do that, or oh, I'm an idiot, or it's up to me? And then all of a sudden you're feeling that guilt, that pull that you are the responsible one. You need to take control. You are there to not upset anybody. Jot that down. That's very helpful for you to realize this experience that you've been having of the person saying, I'm sorry, and feeling guilty. Number four, at the end of these 2 weeks, take a look back and get a sense of why, when, where, how, and the experience that you've been having over the past 2 weeks of using the phrase, I'm sorry, and why you've been doing it. Now, this is some very heavy stuff, isn't it? It's no wonder that many of us gals walk around with extra pounds, with aches, with pains, with worries on our mind, with stomach problems, because we're carrying all of this emotional baggage and these responsibilities, and lots of them are not even ours. And we need to learn how to put boundaries up and separate our needs from someone else's, and learn that it's okay to take care of yourself and to let them figure it out too. So I do not want you to go through this process alone. Send me an email at denise@deniselynmorrison.com, or check out my website, deniselynmorrison.com, and you can find resources there. You can find my blogs that I've written about this before, and you can find my contact page so that you can connect with me either in my group or set up a time to chat with me in real time. We can talk on Zoom, and I can see you and hear you and get a sense of what's been going on for you, because this is a sticky issue. It's not a one-time deal. 2 weeks is just a taste, so I will be happy to help you overcome this if it's been hanging around in your life for way too long. So, to recap, I'd love for you to give yourself this time to pay attention and jot down in your phone or in your journal how often you're saying I'm sorry, what's triggered you to say I'm sorry, who was involved, what was the circumstance, what were you feeling, what were you thinking, what was going on. Gather all the information, because in the end, You are the best person to know how it's affecting you. And when you come to me with an email or meet me on Zoom, I can help you pick apart all of that pattern and we can break it and set you free to create a new way of being so that you are taking care of yourself and knowing that you're confident in doing so and it's not going to impact anybody else negatively. How does that sound? I'm here to help you, and I am thinking of you as you go through this process. So come on over to my website, deniselynmorrison.com, and schedule a time to chat with me. It'll be very casual. And there'll be no apologizing, just like me showing up in my workout clothes today. And I'm not going to apologize for having those books on my shelf. Yes, I was a Twilight fan. Woohoo! Team Edward. Have a wonderful day being you. Thank you for listening. Bye.